Today's video is sponsored by our good friends at Famous Faces and Funnies, located in Melbourne, Florida. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Along with our friends at Docking Bay 94, located in Boca Raton, Florida. Check us out on comicsandgames.com. And Ian's Display Accessories, the best figure stands for iconic Kenner Star Wars, Hasbro GIJoe, as modern Black Series and GIJoe Classifieds. And our new sponsor, EGS Expert Grading Services, the Gen X preferred spot to get your comics graded. Hello and welcome to the exciting episode of Codename New to Hero 2. Hi, I'm your presenter, Shabu, are you? Now, I'm in front of the camera, but I thought this would be a good opportunity. I haven't done this in a few months, but we're going to go over some comics that I picked up for this month that might be interesting and something that you might be interested to. Now, again, I cater to guys that are like me, Gen Xers, people that are 40 and above. So our tastes are a lot different than these modern comic kids and these teeny boppers because I know they have like these mystery mail calls and stuff, and to letting a hipster pick my books and send it to me, it's a recipe for disaster. So I select, again, thanks to our good sponsor, Famous Faces and Funnies, and Docking Bay 94 for providing these issues to me to look at and, of course, to review when it comes to GIJoe. So without further ado, let's check out the first book. So I think this is universally, I'll have a picture in the corner, but it's called Demon Days, X-Men Demon Days. And the reason why this is interesting is that there's a new, this artist named Peach Momoko. All these modern guys are going crazy about Peach Momoko, Peach Momoko. I personally think she's not, or I don't even know if it's a girl, but regardless if it's a boy or girl, I just think that, I like Nito Diaz's art, and John Royal's art. I think she's okay, but I think this I'm picking up because I want to give an honest effort, because this is the first time she has illustrated not only a cover, but the entire story itself. So, I don't want to, I always want to be open and try to like understand both sides of the fence before making a decision about anyone or anything. So that's why I picked this up. And also because of WandaVision, all this stuff about mutants being introduced in the MCU. Who knows? You have no idea. But this is definitely a book to pick up. Now, this is a variant cover. So, I like this one better than the cover A. So I picked this, or I had Famous Faces set this aside for me. So this is Demon Days X-Men #1. The new other book that's being popular for both modern and us old heads is this Berserker. And look, Keanu Reeves is actually attached to this story. Now it's coming from a smaller company called Boom Studios. So, the thing is, like, I like these smaller studios. And if you guys know from when I was doing this more regularly, I don't really pick up that many Marvel or DC books. Besides, GIJoe is IDW now, but Dynamite books, like, I pick up these smaller companies because I think these smaller companies capture more of what it was like when we were kids. They do a better job giving us stories that, us Gen Xers could enjoy. I think Marvel and DC are just too many politically correct, and there's agendas, so to speak. I think that takes away from, comics in general. So this is Berserker, and I think the main premise is that this character cannot, it's kind of like Deadpool, but he works with the government. I think he's trying to find a cure so he could die because he doesn't want to live forever, kind of like Highlander. So this is going to be, he takes on all these assignments, and he's looking for this, I guess it's a combo of Deadpool, Wolverine, and Highlander. I guess those are the three things I would, and all three are great. So this is definitely a book you should be consider, and I think you probably will enjoy. I'm looking forward to this title, so give that one a try. The next one is Tarot, Witch of the Black Rose, issue 126. And you guys know I did that one episode regarding this book. You know, people have opinions about it, A or B. Jim Balin, ever since his Catwoman run, I think is a great artist. And I mean, sometimes the book is rubbish, but sometimes it's you know, nice. It's just good artwork, and I think this cover, you know, speaks for itself. It's a pretty nice drawing of Tarot herself. So this is going to be, and I always like that witchcraft with WandaVision and stuff. This is right up that alley. So it deals with witches and stuff like that. So kind of like creepy and sexy at the same time. So that's this, and also with that same theme, Vengeance of Vampirella. And I've said it before when I talked about it in an earlier episode. Growing up, I was not a Vampirella fan. I was never interested in it. But, you know, this series is not the main, so it's another series away from the main title. And it's kind of cool because Elvira dies, and then she's brought back to life, and she's fighting like an evil version of herself, where Elvira is not really, I mean, not Elvira, Vampirella is not really bad. You know, she's just, she uses dark elements to do good things, and I always found that pretty damn cool. So this series has been like either really good or really bad, going issue to issue. But I've stuck with it so far, and we're on issue number 15. So I figured, what the hell, I'm going to ride this one out and see what the hell happens. Last issue was kind of, it was just really, it was kind of, kept on going in a circle. So hopefully issue number 15 is a little bit better. But again, the artwork is great, and this is from Dynamite. The next book I found interesting is America Chavez. Now, the whole thing with, if you guys don't know, Marvel has introduced some young characters like Kamala Khan, who's a Indian Pakistani immigrant, and she's assumed the mantle of Miss Marvel. And America Chavez is like a lower grade or Wonder Woman. She could fly, she has strength and everything, and she's of Latino American origin. So it's going to be while they have the Miss Marvel series for Disney Plus in development, America Chavez is going to be a prominent character that's going to be featured in that same molding. So it's going to be like simultaneously, they're going to be building this core group of characters, and I think America Chavez, Miss Marvel are going to, and probably like WandaVision, Speed, and I forgot the other kid's name, Wanda's kids, but I think, and young Hawkeye, Hawkeye's daughter, Kate Bishop, I think that's her name. I feel like these characters are going to be a B team that's going to be getting the main focus of the Marvel Universe going forward. So America Chavez, and just the fact that, you know, it's new, it's interesting, and I'm willing to give it a try. So America Chavez #1. And no big surprise, this month's GIJoe recap is going to be featuring GIJoe issue number 278. Untold Tales is going to be focusing on Snow Job, the first GIJoe snow specialist, way back in 1984. So far, these Untold Tales have been great, just like the special missions. What better way than, you know, after coming off of the 10-issue story arc, Snake Hunt, with these Untold Tales. And I think last week we focused in on Dukes, which was great. We got a little bit of his backstory, how he joined GIJoe. And now this month we're going to look at Snow Job, an Untold Tale of Snow Job. So this is going to be really good to enjoy, and I'm looking forward to covering that for you guys. So stay tuned for that episode. And it's that time of year. The GIJoe Yearbook has come out, paying homage to the very first GIJoe Yearbook. What's interesting that catches my eye in this is Larry Hama is the writer, no surprise there, but Herb Trimpe. And for us G.I. Joe guys, Herb Trimpe is the G.I. Joe artist. Issue number 1. So many iconic covers. Herb sadly passed away in 2015. And I've pointed that out on this channel numerous times. I mean, we have Kirk Bazzigian, Ron Rudat, Larry Hama. Herb Trimpe belongs in that list as well. So how he plays into this, that's going to be something to look forward to. Now also, if you guys remember, when I did last year's yearbook, there was 2 stories. There was one featuring the Arashikage clan defeating revamped robots. That was a pretty excellent issue. And the second issue was a continuation of G.I. Joe, the movie. It was kind of a teaser. And the whole year, nothing came from that. I don't know what happened. COVID, probably. We have the Paul Allure G.I. Joe series, Rob Liefeld's Disaster of a Snake Eyes series, and of course the main line, A Real American Hero. So we're still waiting for this continuation to G.I. Joe the movie. And a lot of people were excited. I mean, that video that I did got a lot of views on it. People were excited, whether you like G.I. Joe the movie or hate G.I. Joe the movie. I wasn't a big fan. I've said that in that episode. But regardless, that was a monumental event in the history of G.I. Joe. Pro or negative, pro and con. But we're waiting to see what becomes of that. But so it's going to be interesting to see what's in this and how it plays out during 2021. The next one is, now if you follow me on Instagram, I kind of mentioned this. Like, I like things like, I love Black Sabbath, Iron Maiden and stuff like that. I'm a metal guy, old school, and so I always like that element of darkness and stuff. So, and I mentioned about Lady Death. I know the cover is stunning, right? But this is the last 2 months. I haven't really gone too much. I have to read and continue it. But basically, Lady Death has been revived by a guy named Brian Picard or something like that. And I reached out to him and to see if he would be interested in, like Jim Whalen wrote to me, David Avalone wrote to me about Elvira. I was interested in if he would correspond with me. I have yet to hear a response from him, so it's cool. So it was tough was getting these issues because it went from a Kickstarter to just offered through his company called Coffin Comics. Finally, Famous Faces was able to get this series and was able to hook me up with the variant covers on both of them. So again, she's kind of like the female Crow, if I should say that. That's the gist. I mean, I've read half of issue 1 so far, but that's the gist of the character. She's kind of like a female Crow, except she has these. But but it's going. I think this is an interesting read, whether you're pro or against it. Just something outside the normal wheelhouse, and that's the things that I find interesting all the time. And the next one is Thor number 12. Now, the thing for us GenXers is there's this guy Donnie Cates, and he's like this era's Todd McFarlane. Everybody is crazy for Donnie Cates, and I came on board late. I didn't know what the big deal was. I didn't understand. I'm like, oh, he can't be that great. Guys from my era are better, but that's limiting mind thinking. So I finally caved in and I started following this series, Thor, from issue 1, and this is surprisingly very good. I know his Venom book also is very popular. He introduced a lot of characters, and they were going up in value. Modern comics going up, so that's kind of interesting. But I don't care about that. I just found a story. He's doing an excellent job. If you're not, I would highly recommend picking up Thor. And again, there's a lot of second and third or even fourth printing, so it's not expensive to go back and start from the beginning at your local comic shop. But this is definitely something you should check out. And the last thing is actually a free comic, is Invincible by Robert Kirkman. We know Robert Kirkman is the writer for the Walking Dead comics and what the TV show is based on. So he did another one called Firepower, and it was another free comic book day. And I picked up that one, and now this one's a new one. And the funny thing is, like these, sometimes these things, a couple years from now, they a pretty penny. And also, Amazon Prime picked up this series. So it's going to be interesting to see. It's no harm, just to try something different. I'm not into Robert Kirkman. I've read a few, but I never was into Walking Dead. And, but still, just he's the popular figure. And like I said about Peach Momoko, Donny Cates, Robert Kirkman, that's this era's big hero so far. It seems to be. So I don't want to be like that, oh, back in my day, old guy. I want to be open and try to learn new things and try to see other people's content and give them an honest try. So that's why I recommend these books. And yes, the main reason is GIJoe. It's always going to be GIJoe. But at the same time, thanks to our sponsors, we're able to get these other books, and I can able to enjoy them and get a feel for what's going on. So with that aside, let me talk to you about another thing. The big EGS comic grading service episode is coming up. EGS, the company is actually grading a few issues for me, so we could show you how you can get your books graded. There's going to be a step-by-step tutorial on how it goes about that. Now, modern comics, the big company is CGC. I think I have several books that are graded. CGC seems to be the standard, and I've been arguing that having one company being a standard is actually not a very good thing. As we've all known in the past about 20 years, Sears, Toys R Us, having one company be a quote-unquote standard is a very dangerous thing. So I think there should be a universal standard by several companies. So if something happens, and let's be honest, it's a comic book industry. It's up, down, tipsy-turny. It's very unstable. So, and I'm talking about monetary value purposes. For most of us, none of us care. We just want it to look like me, have it look nice on a shelf. I mean, that's why as grown-ups have IRAs and 401ks. That's what I hate to bust these modern comics bubble, but if you're banking on retiring because of your comic books, you are really stupid. I'm just saying that. Comic books, baseball cards, and we're the generation that did, Death of Superman, X-Men #1. So we kind of know what we're talking about. So I think that's absurd. So these kids are buying these new comics, and this is another thing I don't get about modern comics. The value, you have to, a book would come out, they send it to get graded, and then they have to sell it because in 3 months that value of that book would depreciate. I think we need to explain to guys like Comic Tom 101 and Barry Gary Comics that investments are supposed to go up as time passes, not and then sell. It's the stupidest thing, but that's what's the trending in the modern comic world, and I think that's absurd. But I'm glad. I wanted to promote CGS Comics, not only because they're a new sponsor, but I really believe in them because I think that I like the way their books look. I like the way their labels come out, and it looks really pretty. So that's the main thing. And the guy even said, I want to be the grading company for all of us GenXers. So your old books from your old GIJoe, old Transformer books, I wanted to grade them and have them put in a nice case so you could have it on display with your action figures in your collection. That's what I wanted to hear. And I think his prices are pretty good too. So look forward to that episode, and we're going to have the owner, Tony, come on board. He's going to answer some questions, and he's going to showcase some of his books so you get an overall feeling of what you could expect when you send your comics in for grading. And look forward to that. We're going to actually film at Kingdom Comics in Palm Bay, Florida. So I'm really excited about that. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching. This is Shabu Are You, signing off. So to recap, in this episode we featured the GIJoe Yearbook for 2021, America Chavez issue number 1. Next up we have Tarot number 126. And then Vengeance of Vampirella number 15. I, like an idiot, have it upside down. And then Thor number 12. X-Men Demon Days number 1. Berserker number 1. And Lady Death issues 1 and 2. And lastly, of course, GIJoe number 128. And we're going to have a recap of this, like we always do, in the next episode of Codename New to Bureau 2.